Guys, good Wednesday morning. I'm Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk on the I Love CVille Network. It's great to be with you on a fantastic Wednesday, to be above the mud. Real Talk on a Wednesday presented by Ross Mortgage. Write it down. Remember it. Ross Mortgage and Scott Mortgage Morris, guys. So much to cover. There is probably no time, maybe in the last, I don't know, I'll ask Scott this question, 16 years where the mortgage broker has been more chatted about, talked about, asked questions. I mean, the mortgage broker in today's climate with rates rising and inflation out of control is like the 2022 celebrity.
Superman.
Seriously, the Superman is the mortgage broker here. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Let's go to the four-shot and let's welcome the panel of experts. Keith Smith, Scott Mortgage Morris, and our friend Carrie Griggs. And first, gentlemen, good morning. And Scott, 2022, your business, my friend, how many people you don't know, just stopping you on the corner and asking you questions left and right?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. People, especially with CNBC's just running the 30-year average is above 5% now. Everybody, it's really more like, can you see the future?
Yeah,
I'm not liking that JetBlue stock change, by the way.
JetBlue just bought, they're buying Spirit. So anytime the big company buys the little company, the big company goes down and the little
Thank you. Mrs. Smiths will like the fact that that's happening.
Yeah. Those companies are so weird. Well, here's your plane ticket's $50 and it'll be another $400 to check your bags.
Right.
But yeah, mortgage rates we got some Fed speak today, so it's always on a Wednesday when I come in, so I'm always super hesitant to say, like, all right, here's what I think's going to happen, because like one day I'm sitting there like watching the ticker, and I was like, it's so weird what the market's doing right now, because I expect it to be doing the opposite, and sure enough, by 2 o'clock after Jerome Powell spoke, everything reversed. But today, I think what we're seeing a big increase in the U.S. 10-year. We're seeing mortgage rates. There's going to be a bit of a negative reprice this morning to follow that. And I think the chair notes that we're going to get later today are basically going to be in line with them continuing their interest rate creep, and that the economy is super duper strong. And in the short term, I think that's going to be what we get. And along with what comes along with that is going to be higher mortgage rates. At some point, probably, it could be as early as, late winter, early spring, but I think it'll probably be closer to fall 2023. The government's going to go too far, and they're going to put their thumb on the scale, and a lot of what's out there now is going to get refinanced for a little while. There'll be another bite of that apple, and then they'll start creeping up again, or at least they'll level off at some point. But I think we've got a good stretch of 6 to 8 months of an increase in rates.
Scott Mortgage Morris. Let's get Carrie in the mix.
Dropping some fire.
Carrie Griggs, guys, second rodeo this week. For those that didn't catch you on Monday, A, you were a standout.
Thank you.
B, I love the positivity and zest for life. C, I think you said you did 56 transactions last year.
Yeah.
As a one-man shop.
Yep.
That speaks for itself.
And the gray hair.
And the gray hair, yeah, that's a lot from
that's from 56 transactions in a calendar year. That is legit.
And 2 rambunctious boys
that
are just as much energetic as I am.
Good Lord. Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching, and then we'll get Keith in the mix here.
So, Kerry Griggs here with Keller Williams. I've been an agent full-time for 3 years. I did a year and a half part-time while I was a construction worker and kitchen bath designer. I play rugby here at the Charlottesville Men's Rugby Club. That's my passion. And then other than that, hanging out with my wife and my 2 kids.
I love it. Keith Smith, my friend.
I'm trying to think of a nickname for you.
Oh, man.
Right? That's the whole time we were talking about. We've got to come up with some sort of moniker.
Carrie the Closer?
Carrie the Closer. Right. There you go.
I'll take that one.
Carrie the Closer. That's
Carrie
a great
the Closer.
nickname.
Like it. I'm going to remember that.
Carrie the Closer, Ross Mortgage Morris, and Scott Mortgage Morris, and our good friend, the distinguished
gentleman.
So Keith Smith, you brought some data for us today that we're going to cover.
I did. I don't want to kind of bore everybody with the crunching of the individual sheets and kind of lose it. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a quick look at, if mortgage rates are at 5%, 5%, right? And I'm buying a home I picked a home out at Lake Monticello that closed for $221,000. If I get a 5% mortgage and put 3% down, what does that compare to rentals? To make a long story.
Did you say 221 or 321?
321. Sorry about that. Missed the 3 on that one. Thank you, sir.
Well,
322 to be.
Good
Good catch, Scott.
Good catch. Big difference. The point I'm getting at is you're renting a similar house at Lake Monticello for roughly $2,050 a month, and your PI, TI, and I included insurance, taxes, and HOA fees out there is roughly $2,044. So you're on par at today's interest rates, right? We don't know where interest rates are going to go. And I also just took a look at it. If you just have a simple 3% year-over-year increase, if you hang on to that for 5 years, right, so your home increases 3% every year, and you pay down your mortgage, you'll walk away with $64,000 in your pocket.
Well, not to mention just that, but also outside of your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes, that's a fixed payment.
Yeah.
That rental payment is going to increase year over year.
We're
already seeing it.
We were talking about off air before we went on, and get Kerry in the mix here. I see that in 5 years, an easy $500 to $750 a month extra for that same house.
So I don't see a lot of this, and maybe you do, and maybe you don't see as much of it as, say, when you were in the team environment. But right now, it's more difficult for people to find a rental than it is assuming that they credit qualify for a house, even though whatever market conditions are for buyers, rentals are super tough. Is that your opinion?
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. Those folks that decide to wait or the ones that come to you with 60 days before their lease is up and they want to try to buy a home, once we get into that process and they're not able to find that home or they're not ready to compete for that market yet, they're telling me that they are finding just as hard to find a rental property as they are to purchase a property, and I think that's going to be a big deciding factor as well.
What if it's somebody who's got some dogs and cats on top of that?
Oh, no. I mean, that one just makes it even more difficult for your renters, pet deposit, if they even allow pets to be in there with you.
Yeah, so they're taking a small pool of inventory and making it even smaller, as opposed to, trying to do the work to get qualified.
I can add some numbers to that.
Please.
As of today,
This is good content.
as of today, there's 19. I'm just focused on Lake Monticello because
Yep.
it's easy. It's concentrated units. As of today, there's 19 homes on the market. Good news about that, right, Jerry? A month ago, that was in single digits.
Yeah.
So we're growing, which is good.
Yep.
It needs to be much higher than that. I actually reached out to Suzanne Reel with Ally Property Management, in her system.
She manages my rental, your rental.
She does. She's outstanding. There's only 5 rentals available at Lake Monticello.
Yeah.
So that's
Out of 4,300 plus homes.
And what's the rental percentage of Lake Monticello? It's big, isn't it? It's something like 18% or 20%?
I don't know that number, but
That's Mr. Lake Monticello over there,
Yeah.
mayor of Lake Monticello.
no, don't do that to me.
It's a substantial portion, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It could be. That number I just don't want to throw out without knowing it. But these 2 numbers I know for sure.
Okay.
Out there, I know for sure I got 19 homes on the market to buy, all different price ranges, and I know there's only 5 based on the information I received.
That's good content right there. So Erin King, welcome to the program. She's watching in Scottsville. Kevin Yancey, hello. If you guys want to participate in the show, offer your comments and commentary and questions in the feed, and I will relay them live on air here on Real Talk. So Kerry, walk us through what you're doing from a guidance standpoint when someone's in the back end of a lease
Yep.
and saying, should I buy, should I renew, what do I do?
I always think buying is a better investment than renting. Even at 5%, 6% of interest rate, you're still putting, like Scott said earlier, you're still fixing your monthly budget to that. Yeah, property taxes and insurance and stuff may make it go up, fluctuate just a little bit, but if you're renting a property, that's 100% of that money that you're not getting back. Keith was given some numbers on the equity that you'll get in the next 5 years if it's at 3% growth. And like I said,
think it's going to be higher than 3%.
I think it's going to be higher than 3%
I picked a
as
low
well.
number on purpose.
Yep, right. It's better to be a little bit conservative, but I still think it's going to be a much better investment. Now, like I said on Monday, we need to get to these buyers a little earlier than 60 days before their lease runs out, because we have to prepare them, especially with a first-time home buyer. They may not be aware of what the market is doing like we are as professionals in this business, and they may need a little bit of coaching for that process. When I talk to somebody and I say, hey, there may need to be an escalation clause, you may have to do it with an as-is home inspection. And so for them, they're just now entering into this market. They may not understand how competitive it can be. Not saying that you have to compete for every home, but I think as they're getting towards the tail end of that, we need to get to them just a little bit earlier.
By the way,
Well said.
that's not just exclusive to folks that are in rent. I've got a resale that I'm working on right now, up in the 1 million range, that they're struggling trying to sell and finding a place to buy. And the runway that we need to have in front of this is way, it's 90 days. It's even more than that at this particular point.
Absolutely.
Applications, Scott, how they checking?
Good. There is a ton of activity for people who are looking to purchase, which is, of course, driving the demand that we're seeing as far as the competitiveness in multiple offer situations.
I've said this on Wednesday many, many times. That's the matrix I want to follow, right? How your loan applications are going. If they're starting to drop off drastically, I think we said off air, is the conversation about interest rates or something else that you guys are having? So when you start an initial conversation, I know interest rates are an initial conversation, but what else are we talking about other than interest rates? Does that make sense?
Sure. One of my first series of questions is rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, what do you think rates are today? And where were you getting that information from? That helps address that situation on the spot versus, having somebody, well, I saw this online, or my neighbor said this, my brother said that. It's like, well, let's take a specific look at your situation, and and here's what that looks like. And the next thing is, how long do you plan to stay in this home? Because not only does that help me, that helps you. And us developing a plan as far as what's most important for them. What are your intentions for the home? All these questions help build a story and help us prepare the buyer to put them in the right place for what their true needs are.
Great take. Jump in.
I just want to play off of Jerry's comment about how important you are in this role now, and how you really, we're both Marines, so
I'm glad you think I'm important. That's very kind.
I actually think you do. I really think you
Me
are.
too.
You're like the Marines, right? We're the first in. 3 years been in the business, 3.5 decades. 3, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years down the line, I would never have thought of reaching out to Scott first and say, okay, what do we pre-qualify for? Let's get this all done. It would have been, hey, let's find a house, right? And then,
we also used to have this. So I saw this. I don't know if it was a TikTok video or what the other day, where somebody was like, 2016, hey, your house has been on the market for 3 months. I've got a buyer. We're going to be coming in $20,000 below and asking for some concessions. And now it's like, hey, sorry, the house is listed for 45 minutes. They've got 35 offers and
15-minute showings.
Yeah.
I offered my firstborn. Yeah.
Are you experiencing that?
It's not quite that competitive here in the Charlottesville and surrounding counties. It does get a little bit competitive. I just ratified one yesterday for less than $250,000.
Less than $250,000?
Yeah, less than $250,000.
Single family detached?
Yep, and it was a VA loan too.
Which municipality?
Out in the county, it was Fluvanna County.
Okay.
But I mean, there's still deals out there, and as long as you structure it well and you put yourself in the right position, I think the people that you communicate with is going to be a big part of the next, 18 months. You got to have the right lending partner. You have to have the right real estate agent, a well-connected real estate agent that realtors around the area know that are going to get the transaction closed if something gets rocky. I think that's a big important part of the process as well.
How can people communicate through problems is the most important part of all of this.
I think so.
So I'm actually going to refer a client out to you later on today. I had a phone call from a father who was in his 70s for his first-time purchaser's daughter, and his father was looking at houses, and I kind of stopped the conversation. He goes, what do you think about this? What do you think about this house? And I went, no. I said it respectfully, of course. The first person you need to talk to is Scott.
No doubt.
Right? You've got to figure out what we can afford, because this 5%, maybe 5.5% 2 months from now, and then you've got this great program, which you might want to talk a little bit about.
Lock and shop. So we can lock you for 70, 90, or 120 days without a contract, and we know what your rate's going to be. So if the market changes, that your payment's not going to, or at least not based off of this. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, that's going to have a little bit of county-to-county effect, or condition and age of property for insurance.
It's not huge.
Yeah, it's not
numbers.
huge. Well, I mean, it depends. If you're, Culpeper, you're at less than 70 cents on the dollar versus Albemarle, Flavanna, where you're 30% higher.
People traveling from Culpeper to Charlottesville back and forth for work.
For work?
Yeah,
No
really?
doubt.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
I mean, look at this guy.
Now, but I mean, in a prior life, yeah, I'm everywhere, man.
You are.
I'm like that country song. But absolutely. People travel from Charlottesville to Richmond, and Zions to Richmond, Zions to Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. And that 64 trip is about the same as my 29 trip.
Really?
I got to ask you this question, and I'm going to jump out of the way. Keith, I'll throw it to you first. You've been in the business since
The beginning of dirt.
87, right?
Not 1887.
1987. You've been in the business 35 years.
Yeah.
In 35 years you've been in the business, you've seen a lot. Put in perspective the value of a mortgage broker like Scott, a skilled one, in that 35-year timeline. You literally have rates over the course of a week jumping how much, Scott?
In the last week, we're probably
The 30-year fix has jumped
a little
half
more,
a point plus?
a little less than that, probably 3/8.
0.4?
3/8. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's literally fluctuating.
But I mean, let's say 90 days, we're up 2%.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
90 days, it's fluctuating.
But that
2
happened
points.
before. So
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I want you to put it in perspective for us here.
Well, so we've been using over 3 years this term trusted advisor, and this is really the time that you need to have the trusted advisors, which are sitting at this table. But what I was trying to allude to earlier, Scott's always important. The mortgage, how your buyer is going to get the money to pay is always important, right? But we used to look at houses first, and we used to say, yeah, that's the house that we want, right? And actually, Kerry, that wasn't too long ago. That was in the beginning of 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When you
That was 2019.
yeah. So you would see, okay, this house, well, this is house, right? This was house number 1, and this was house number 2.
That's how I bought my
and this
current
is
house.
number 3.
That closed March 2020.
All right, and everybody would go, well, we start having this whole conversation about which house, and then we went to go see Scott.
Yeah.
Now it's, I need to see Scott, and this conversation I had with this 70-year-old gentleman was, and Scott knows this because he knows to do this, I don't need a pre-qual letter, I need a pre-approval, I need it to be run through some sort of underwriting, right? So we know this because we're now competing against cash, and we need to make sure that we've got that end of it locked and ready to go. But to answer your question, this is unique. I don't think in 35 years I've ever had it to the point where we need to start with Scott first. But let's not even look at houses. We need to start with Scott first.
So I got something I wanted to ask Carrie, kind of a little unrelated, but
I like when you do this, Scott.
to what you were saying, loan commitment is very important. I actually have a program called a guaranteed pre-approval. We run findings, we go through underwriting, and can issue a letter along with our pre-approval saying if this doesn't close, we will pay the seller $1,000. And I've actually got something else that by the next Wednesday show, I'm hoping to be able to offer, which is going to be pretty sexy. So we'll touch base on that.
That's a hell of a tease right
Sexy.
there.
Yeah, right.
But all right, so with your construction remodel background, how much of that really helps you preparing a seller for getting their property ready to go to market, and how much of it does it help buyers in saying, hey, look, this might not be exactly what you love, but if we could make these little changes, here's what that would look like for you. Does that change your perception of the property?
Yeah, so that has a lot to do with it. I think that's where my value proposition is in the construction world. So when I'm helping a seller get the home ready for the market, I'm able to walk them through some of what the home inspector is going to find. And I tell them just to leave 1 or 2 items so that this way the home inspector can find something. Because if you can't find anything, you're going to dig a whole lot deeper. So leave 1 or 2 items for them to find. And then when I'm preparing for my buyers, I think being able to walk through it, and again, we know that inventory is a little low right now, so you got to get creative as an agent to try to help walk them through the process. And so when I'm able to talk to someone, anything prior to 2000, they had separated individual rooms. You had a living room, dining room, and nowadays people look for a more open concept, so we figure out whether it's a load-bearing wall or not, and can you open this up? Most of the times the answer is yes. You can just put a post and pillar in there, and then you can open up the floor plan, and I think that helps buyers see past what's just in front of them and how we can add equity to the home. Like Keith was saying, 3% equity. Well, if you really go bells and whistles on this thing, you can talk about a 5% return.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I run into with appraisers frequently, and the difference between cost and value. So let's say that somebody goes in and they've partially finished a basement. Let's say they've roughed in stuff, but there's still no drywall, or there's drywall in half of it. Like somebody started a project, they realized they didn't want to do it, they put the house up, and the seller, or even the agent, depending on their level of experience, thinks that there's more value to the unfinished basement than the appraiser does. Is trying to have a educating conversation going, look, I understand that it would only cost $10,000 for you to get the additional $30,000 in value in the adjustment, but the work's not even done, so there is no adjustment. That's why you're not seeing that.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. That one brings me to my next point. So the difference between cost and value is going to be, okay, so in my opinion, there's only a couple ways that you can really add value to a house, and that's going to be increasing the square footage, increasing the bedroom count and the bathroom count. And people usually say, well, I redid the cabinets. Yeah, but every house has cabinets.
I painted the house.
I painted the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of maintenance. That's not an upgrade.
But you also have to be super careful. So what trades were you in?
I did everything.
Cool.
So carpentry is my main trade.
Cool.
Though.
So as you know, I'm a Class A contractor,
Right.
but yada, yada, yada.
And a designer.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and we used to own a cabinet company, plumbing company, and all
Nice.
this great stuff. And it's great because you bring this out, and I wanted to congratulate you on that and offer you kudos, because this is what the buyers and the sellers need now. They need more, they need a little bit of extra guidance through this when you want to do that. But what you also need to do is switch on to your real estate hat.
Yeah, that is correct.
Right. Well, and the point I'm trying to make is you'll have and I do this all the time. I have a conversation. Well, I'm going to upgrade my kitchen. Well, hold the time out. This is where the market is, right? You're going to spend $50,000 on doing it. You're only going to get about $15,000 back out of it.
Yeah, basically.
So it's probably best to price it right, leave it alone, and let somebody else go ahead and do that. But you know what the number one ROI is and it's been consistently the last couple of years, according to the National Association of Home Builders? Garage door and front door. Swapping that out gets you more return on your investment than anything.
I can see that.
Does the a new fence in the backyard, do any property improvement value?
I think so. A fence in the yard, there's 3 things that I think sell real estate the most. That's going to be curb appeal, kitchens, and bathrooms. So in my opinion, those are what really help sell the property. So curb appeal, I could see the garage doors and the front doors being one of those. That makes it desirable. You want to come in, that's welcoming. And then the fence in the backyard. I know a lot of folks have dogs, like Scott said. If you have animals, you're going to have to more look for those kind of qualities.
So a lot of people have 4-legged furry friends now.
Which has been a driver of people purchasing and getting out of apartment living, especially post-pandemic, or whatever we want to call this. Endemic. Has been
pandemic and endemic.
Yeah, going into it, that was a big driver of I need to get a house, I need to get a yard for my dog. That was a huge like bell that was rung just in people's heads. And it's a bell that I don't think you can unring. Once people start thinking, how do I want to improve,
quality of
life. Yeah.
Yep.
So, Kerry, I'm one of your buyers.
Mm-hmm.
walk me through a showing. Tell me how you do a normal showing.
So what I do is, I try not to be a tour guide, right? Anybody can walk through a house. They can turn on lights. They can, oh, this is the living room. This is the dining room. I start looking for value propositions for these. Say, okay, guys, you told me that you really liked a large master or an open kitchen. This has that, or maybe it doesn't have this. If we're walking through a house and I say, I know you like the large open kitchen, so we can take out this wall in the dining room if you like. Now understand that I am your realtor, not your contractor, but I'm just giving you friendly advice or, helpful advice as a professional in both trades. And
Well,
then,
you can be the source of the source. You can
Yeah.
start moving folks in the right
yeah, and I
direction.
just move them through the process, and then at the end of the showing, I ask, and I try to schedule multiple showings at a time because I'm trying to maximize the output for the least amount of input that
Sure.
I'm putting in there. So what I'm trying to do is get their opinions. There's going to be certain things that the buyers like and the things that the buyers don't like. So we're going to hyper-focus in on some of those things that the buyers really, really want, that open kitchen floor plan, granite countertops, or a huge living room for family functions. And we're going to take away the items that they don't like. Say, hey, look, I wasn't a huge fan of the tiny master bathroom. Okay, well, let's talk about this. So on the next showing, I'm a little more experienced with those particular clients, and I say, hey, remember the house on 123 Main Street? You remember how you didn't like that it was
Good
so
for you.
small of a master bathroom? This is going to be very
And
similar.
that does a second thing as well. It helps put them in the home, which is a mental, it's like, have your kids picked out rooms yet? It's a very important thing to making them help make a decision.
Yep.
So have you heard of the 7-second rule?
Go
I
ahead.
pick up food all the time.
Bu-
It's been in the home.
Buyers make their decision within 7 seconds of walking in the door.
Yeah.
It's a proven psychological fact. So when they walk in, they make their decision within 7 seconds because all the 5 senses,
In this market, they better make that decision within 1 second
Yeah.
negative 7
I
seconds.
know.
Yeah,
Well, that was what I was trying to lead
before
to.
they wake up.
Well, that's what I was trying to lead to because a lot of your work, at least on our end of it, is we're doing pre-showings
Yeah.
via digital and narrowing them down to, okay, these are the ones that we want to go see. So we're not, I get it, seeing a lot of homes, but, I had one 2 weekends ago. I had 15 minutes in the house. It's insane.
Yeah, video helps a whole lot. I see agents now are starting to do a couple different things. I know I do them for my listings. I'll do a video and then a Matterport so that they can walk through it. That saves everybody time, and that it gets us through the process quicker. And that's what we're ultimately trying to do, is help them find the home of their dreams or the home that is going to be suited for their needs quicker. So I'll send that a day before we actually do any showings. Hey, because this gives me enough time to be courteous to the listing agent and say, hey, this house might not work for my buyers, so we're going to pass on this one. And I just try to save everybody a little bit of time. The video and Matterport, all that helps. And, just talking through the process with them. You told me that you don't want anything less than 1,500 square feet. This one's right at 1,400. Are you sure you want to go see this one? And it makes them mentally check themselves.
But you and I know 100 square foot is
Is nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing if you think about it. And, that could be, a small little water closet in your bathroom and a couple extra closets. So you really have to dive down deep with your buyers, and you have to be a little more educated now than ever, in my opinion.
What do you guys make of the, and I think this is a topic that's going to come up on Friday with Quentin Beckham and Sasha Tripp, of how coming soon is being utilized today.
Oh, nice.
Coming soon, is it a 2-week period?
Yeah, so if everybody needs to tune in on Friday. I'm sure that's going to
Because
come.
this is a hot topic.
Yeah. So
Some are utilizing it very differently than others in
Correct.
this footprint, coming soon.
Correct. So the basic parameters of it. This is part of what's called clear cooperation at a National Association of Realtors, which ultimately had something to do with DOJ and all these different things on the end of it.
And he highlighted it to help create, on Monday, equity with pocket listings. That's what you meant. Is memory right? That's what you talked about?
Me and Rob talked about it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just get the rules on the table for the moment.
Please.
Right? So the rules on the table from a NAR side of it, a National Association of Realtors side of it is that if I advertise Scott's house on the I Love Charlottesville Network Facebook page, within 24 hours of that, it needs to be in the MLS, so all agents can see that. NAR also gave concurrently the individual associations the right to add a little bit of time to it, right? They had to come up with different rules. So our rules are that once I put this on the I Love Charlottesville Network for sale on the Facebook page, within 14 days it has to be open to the public.
Yeah.
In the listing, so only real estate agents can see that. You and I can see the public end of it, but the back end of it, only we can see that. It's not out in Zillow, it's not out in Trulia because it doesn't go through the IDX.
Yeah.
But it is on I Love
Facebook.
Charlottesville's Facebook page on that, or on Keith's Facebook page, or Kerry's Facebook page on that end of it. So in the listing, it has to say when it's going active that we see.
Yeah.
On that end of it.
So here's what this is what the common person is seeing. You guys are the experts. Okay. And I hear this from my wife and her mom's chain of
Social media is
82 moms. I think it's 82 moms. And they are sharing social media posts of houses and listings when they are not on the MLS.
And it raises an issue, guys, and Kerry, and the issue is I put it on the MLS. It's only agents can see it's open 12 days from now. I see it on the I Love Charlottesville, or this Facebook group, or my thing, and first thing I do is I get a phone call. I'm going to go see it. Now I have to explain. I'm sorry, we can't go see that home until such and such a date. And the answer is, well, hold it. It's on Facebook.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it becomes a education process.
But buyers are getting prepped on the listing. Potential buyers.
Correct. Yeah. So
So I guess that comes into what's the most effective timeline for it to be up there, because 2 weeks may not be the ticket if you're the agent doing it.
That's an eternity.
Yeah, because if you've got somebody who's like, well, great, that's in 2 weeks. We're going to go see these 3 houses this weekend. It may not actually hit.
We just did one like this, right? Because it's the rules. We can do it. It's representing a seller, right? We're trying to get the most exposure for our seller. I had 3 days booked, all from Northern Virginia agents, because they're seeing it on Facebook.
Yep.
Right? I'm getting phone
I have
calls.
clients call me and say, hey, what about this one, for stuff that's, before it ever comes on.
Right. So I've got mixed emotions and mixed feelings about this.
Me too.
What are your thoughts, Kerry?
So,
And
like Keith said,
we'll make sure we stay out of trouble.
Like Keith said, I got mixed opinions about it because one, it does get a lot of exposure, so it's great for the sellers. It's it creates more competitions for your buyers, but again, if you're getting plenty of notice for that, you can have someone like Scott run the numbers for you, get everything in order so you're pre-approved and not just
Absolutely.
pre-qualified. So there's pros and cons to it. I think it's a great tool for the seller side of things, and again,
But is it really? It puts a lot of pressure on the seller.
yeah, typically when I have something like that and I'm advertising out that far, I'm going to tell my sellers to leave for a weekend, go get a little vacation, 2-3 day vacations, come back on Monday, we're going to review offers.
And how many sellers do that?
More than you think.
Really?
Yeah.
I will tell you, everyone that we've had, that's exactly how we did it.
Yeah, and they just leave for the weekend because we know when we build that anticipation up for 2 weeks or a week,
It's going to be bananas.
There's a lot of people, and
Yeah.
you put them in 30-minute increments. I use showing times, so that's a great tool. So
Yeah.
people can go on there and schedule them, and if they're going to be out of town for that weekend, then okay, great, it's open. So
I do 45, and I just leave 15-minute
Oh yeah, increments. Yep.
just so
As a buffer.
As a buffer. And so, they can go ahead and as soon as they click it, it's confirmed. And then this way everybody knows, and I'm not keeping a big long log sheet trying to track everybody down, and then I capture their
Kerry,
information.
you're going to be in this business as long as I have been in.
Yep, that's the plan.
Eventually, this pendulum is going to swing, right?
Yeah.
And this whole relational, emotional thing is eventually going to see. I'm really curious how this coming soon is going to work when it becomes a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Because eventually it's going to happen.
Right.
The when is the $64,000 question on that end of it, but eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen for a long time because there's just not enough inventory
Right.
being produced on the end of it. But it's an interesting tool.
What's the con? What's the con? You said there were pros and cons. What's the con? Scott, what's the con here? You get working with a guy like Scott. He looks at what the property is going to be listed at and helps you get qualified to purchase. The seller gets ridiculous demand.
Yeah.
What's the con?
So my concern is our ethical, fiduciary, and professional obligation to the public, right? So the question of, well, hold it, why can't I go? It's on the market, it's in Facebook, right? How come I can't go see it? To me, that raises some questions on that end of it. I think it raises questions because I have to tell this buyer, I can't get you in the house.
From the ethical end, if
I have an issue with it from that perspective.
I got it.
I guess
Okay,
I guess the perception is if you see them, how about this? If they come on and off and nobody ever goes to see the house, then you guys that's an industry thing where it's police your own. I think it's probably more along the lines.
There's a whole topic there unto itself.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, that's what you want to.
I just passed the national brokerage and I missed the state by one question. Don't get my license pulled before I can get it.
I'm just saying, like, there's
no con for you.
Yeah, for me it's
from your world there isn't.
I know what
there's no con for my world.
Yeah, but I know what you guys aren't saying, and that's probably it.
It just becomes.
I'm trying to get them to say what they're not saying.
Yeah, so
Kerry Griggs, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm trying to do here.
For the sellers, for the buyer side, obviously there's more competition, so that's a con for the buyer side. For the seller side, if you're marketing that far out, the people that are seeing it on Facebook and some of these other, media sites, they're not always going to wait on your agent. So they could be having a ton of drive-bys in a neighborhood cul-de-sac. They could be having door knockers saying, hey, I noticed that your house is coming to the market. Can we take a look at it? Not everybody's working with an agent. So I think that could
that's
be
interesting. I'm working on one right now that was exactly like that. And got themselves in a bunch of...
You're talking to FSBO.
It's exactly went that way. I've been thinking about putting the house on the market. Next door neighbor went in, FSBO, and I got in the middle of it because I was asked to you-know-what it, because it was really screwed up. And to the seller's disadvantage by a huge amount, because it was a Northern Virginia agent that came down into our marketplace, and we're in the process of helping this client out and helping him get it closed.
Yeah.
On that end of it, I just, if the intent of this was to do clear cooperation, to get this out to everybody, I think there's a little bit of a hiccup here that needs to get fixed.
Yeah, how do you fix that? Shortening the window? The 2 weeks?
When it's going live?
Oh, I mean,
Make it 5 days?
I'll go on public record for this. I've never been in favor of the 2 weeks.
2 weeks is way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Yeah.
To me, I would have matched the NAR thing. You got 24 hours to pump it out on Jerry's network, and then it needs to be in the MLS out to the public.
Kerry Griggs.
I think 48 hours would probably be pretty sufficient.
2 weeks is
2 weeks is a long time. That's you get a whole weekend in there. Where people are off work and they can just continuously drive.
I think
by.
though, if we look at it closely, not too many people are doing the 2 weeks. I think a lot of people are doing the 5 days.
Depends on the price point.
Yeah,
depends on the price point.
And so
higher price points. I'm seeing 2 week promo.
Yeah, I would much rather see 48 hours in there, and this way it builds enough anticipation for people to get in.
Or there's some requirement, and I'm spitballing here, that in the post it has to be very clearly delineated.
Don't drive by.
Yeah.
Well, you can drive
going
by,
live
you can't
on
stop.
Friday.
That's exactly right. There has to be, and there has to be some. But look, let's face it. People aren't going to read. They see the pretty picture.
That's right.
They see the house, and they start making phone calls. Hey, Kerry, this house just came on coming soon.
Yeah.
Well, how about Scott Morris? How many homes have you seen come across your desk where the seller, or excuse me, the buyer or the buyer's representation is saying, dude, this is coming soon. We want this. See if we can qualify for this. Can we do it? Can we do it?
Oh, yeah. So typically that happens more so with my pre-approvals of going, hey, does this work? Especially if it's in a neighborhood with an HOA. And that's, one of the things that we coach to and talk about in the beginning is, hey, if you see something, let me know what it is and we'll talk about the payments. And if depending on how dialed in the individual is at looking at this stuff, I'll get, before the agent even knows about it, like, hey, does this work? And it's quoted, it's like, yeah, here's what we're looking at. But again, can't lock until you're under contract. Well, if we have, this is prior to lock and shop, so this is what we could adjust for, but these are all things that we talk about.
Can we pivot to new construction?
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, I like new construction.
I know you do. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. You do a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about new construction from your perspective, and then I've got some quarter-over-quarter stats to share with you.
Yeah, so the new construction for me is very appealing, very sexy product for my
We're
buyers.
doing a lot of sexy
That,
stuff.
I like that. I actually stole that word from Scott. No, I like the product
That's
because...
because he's sexy, right?
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
I like the new construction because when I'm telling folks about it, you don't have to worry about what somebody else says, used and abused. You get to select some of your own items that you want. Yeah, you're limited to what the builder will offer, but you get to select what you want. And here in the state of Virginia, and Keith, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you come with a 1 year's warranty
That's
from
exactly
the
right.
builder.
One
And
year, like bumper to bumper.
Right.
5 years on the foundation.
5 years on the foundation, usually 5 years on your HVAC system if you call and warranty it.
Sure.
And then you get the manufacturer's warranties along with that. And
And a
you
lot
can,
of people also don't know you can do like a 210 warranty for new construction now.
Yep, you can do. And that's what I see a lot of the builders using around here. I just think it's a better route for somebody that's not looking to compete. And you get a brand new product, something that you get to call yours. You're the first homeowner in there. I think out of the 11 contracts that I have currently right now, I think 7 or 8 of them are new construction.
So what I was trying to get out of you is, do you use that sometimes as a tool for a seller, right? So I know we do
Yeah.
a bit of that, right? So this gives us this bandwidth of time to sell your home.
Yep.
While the home, are you doing any of that?
I do. So when a seller is looking to put their house on the market, but they're a little bit concerned about where they're going to go once this transition happens, I usually say, hey, this is a great option for you because one, you have a little bit of time and that will give us time to prep your home for the market. And then, you get to make your own selection because you're early enough in on the process.
So here's the downside. Quarter over quarter, new construction attached are down 13 units year over year.
Meaning they're not producing enough?
They're producing less. So
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right.
And I've seen a couple of builders actually put things on hold right now until they get through the parts that they have under construction.
Full van
Because they
account.
don't have the labor.
Yeah, that's why I think we need to put more emphasis on some of these trade schools versus
Oh,
going
don't
to
get me-
college.
don't get me
I tell
started
you
on
what,
that.
that is my goal and my dream is to create a Boys and Girls Club with a trade school attached, get some of these builders to buy in on it. Hey, let's make this happen. It could be a nonprofit. And then ultimately the builders win
I'm
on
in.
it after that
I'm in.
goes. Because coming out of high school, I knew I wasn't going to go to college right away. I eventually ended up going, but you can get a sophomore or junior plugged in already, and they can hit the workforce with 2 years of experience already in.
So to add to this, I help, on top of doing regular real estate or retail real estate, I help developers around the state and builders around the state to get projects approved and move forward on it. I can't get any of the big name production folks, regional, Eastern Seaboard, to look on the other side of the mountain. That's where the market is.
Yeah.
Right? That literally the market is there. Of the last quarter, they were up 31 units over in Waynesboro.
Yeah.
It was the only area that was up quarter over
I
quarter.
believe that.
Do you know why they don't want to go over there? You're talking about it.
No labor?
That's exactly right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The
So
develop.
this isn't just a here problem. Like I was on the phone with a large contractor in North Carolina before I walked into the show this morning, and that was a topic of conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that's,
So it's not
that's
cost of
everything.
materials. That's going to
Yeah.
that'll
Well,
adjust.
it's stabilized.
It's also not just the housing industry. The car business has had also 10-year problem of who's going to fix these cars, and how much more complicated that gets as they move from gas to electric, in having people who can actually diagnose a problem when there's no one trained in the field to do it.
Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of that on the construction side as well. I mean, you have I guess the average age from what I see on a job site, you got guys in their 40s and 50s that are out there doing it, working. I hardly ever see a 23-year-old on a job site or multiple 23 years on a job site hustling anymore. I mean, it's just something they're looking to go to colleges and
Well,
white
I tell you what,
collar jobs.
I know two pretty successful, large number of employees, but they're both Hispanic-run businesses, and that's, they've got 20-year-olds, but nobody else does.
I have my friends that I come up with in the construction industry that are making over 6 figures or 6 figures and plus, that as electricians, HVAC guys, plumbers, those 3 right there, those 3 people are not going to go without. They'll let their deck fall down before they go without running water or heat.
Man, if I was 20 years younger, that's what I'd still be in right now.
I'm telling you, if I wasn't in real estate,
Why'd you make the transition?
Why did I make the transition? It's hard on the body. So, and I like conversating with people.
You like people?
Yeah, I like being in front of people.
So
you'd
go to a job site and you'd spend more time bullshitting than you would do.
No, I get it. No, I climbed the ladder because I
hold it, Scott. You used to work for me.
Yeah, I was a terrible employee.
He was the demo guy, you said.
Oh,
I had to stick him in a skid steerer because otherwise he'd be talking to everybody.
Yeah,
Get to work.
And it's a great quality to have. And when I'm on the job site, I put my nose down and I just grind. And my worst trait was I was usually 30 minutes late. But my boss knew that when I got there, I was going to outwork most people.
So Scott, all kidding aside, you worked for us. You have a lot of experience in the construction industry. Did that help you where you are now? Did stuff that you learned there paying off now?
To a certain extent. A lot of it helps with my conversations with clients, and not just with what I do, not just with doing that then, but because of the relationships that I have with tradespeople in general. I understand the process better than most of my realtor partners in a lot of cases, depending on what is actually getting done. So depending on what sort of problems we run into in an appraisal, or if they send me something from a listing that looks weird, or if something comes up where I'm like, okay, I know what it's going to take to fix this, I know what it's going to cost, I know I can give some names of people to actually go get the work done. In a world of solving problems, the ability to understand the problem is more important, and communicate at a high level with your partners is probably one of the greatest assets that I have, being me. And part of that does come from being a hardhead who worked for you, whose slogan was, "It looks so nice because we did it twice."
That was your tagline?
That was my tagline for Keith.
I had to live with it.
What the F is this? It's like, well, tomorrow when you come back, it'll look different. What do you want us to do?
What was Keith like when he got on the job site, Scott?
Oh, shit.
It depends on which job site it was, and what we'd done the night before when we decided to come to work. So
Totally get that.
Yeah.
I gotta get this out there. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I really did. I really enjoyed doing it. We're in a different world right now, Kerry, but there's nothing like framing up a house, right? Or putting in a kitchen, or doing demo work. And at the end of the day, you sit on, back in the day, we'd have beer in the pickup trucks.
Yep.
Sit on the pickup truck, have a beer, and look at it. I accomplished something. Sometimes, guys, when we work 12 hours a day, we kind of look at each other and go,
what did we do?
What the hell did I do today? Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of phone calls and a lot of computer emails.
What did I get accomplished? But there is this thing, and I say about this all the time. Those who know my story, we lost $17 million in the downturn on it. But I drive home every day on Acre Lane in a subdivision that we built with Scott, with all these houses that Scott helped build. On that end of it, that I drive in, and I know that'll always be there. And there's a feeling for that at the end of the day when you drive back and you drive through it. It's hard to explain.
It's rewarding. I still throw on my tool belt from time to time.
I saw that on your
just
post.
Because I have to do it. It's what keeps me humble, and it reminds me of where I come from.
Yonna's sold all my stuff, so you're not allowed to do this.
Every time I go to Lowe's, my wife tells me I can't bring home more tools. She's like, you don't need another table. So I'm like, well, you never know. I could.
That's right.
So she keeps me humble as well.
But agree, there's something super satisfying I still get from building something.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you do something. But back to the 6 figures, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real thing, and I'm and please get engaged. I will help you any way I can with my.
That's great.
I'm a Volahawk. I will do whatever I can.
Awesome.
This has been something Jerry and I have been talking about for a long time.
Oh, that's great to know that I have support on that one.
56 transactions last year for you.
Yeah.
What did that feel like? How'd you go about doing it? And what's the advice you offer to the agents watching this show right now? Some of them I'm seeing as agents that are in the mix literally in 2022.
Yeah.
Like getting in right now into a new career.
You just, somebody told me when I first started in this business that, you're not going to see a whole lot of movement in the beginning, but you have to stay consistent. So if you stay consistent and you keep doing the things over and over and over again, you're going to get small traction, and celebrate all the little wins too. It doesn't always have to be a home run or a grand slam for you to celebrate. Take some time and enjoy the process. I think a lot of people get hung up on the goals and don't enjoy the processes as much. So when you're doing the processes, understand that it's okay to take those little wins. Go out and celebrate with your friends, because guess what? Talk about it all the time. People notice that. I see a lot of people on social media that they may not be doing a whole lot, but it looks like they're doing a whole lot because they're talking about it. And when people start to see, your friends are starting to see that you are a professional and you're really, truly closing deals, when you get an opportunity to take a photo with your people after the closing goes, that shows people in your sphere that you're actually closing deals. You are now becoming a professional, and so just keep on grinding. Consistency is key, not just in real estate, but in anything.
Don't forget that the work that you're doing now, you may not see the results from today. It may be 3 months down the road before the actions that you take today are really turning the numbers and turning the corner, and you're getting that satisfaction from it. And I think that's a huge thing, whether on my side or on your side, is coaching to look, enjoy the process. Because if you can't learn to enjoy the process, it's going to be some time before you reap those rewards. And you've got to stay consistent, go out, make your calls, do whatever it is that you've built a niche or someone is teaching you to do in order to find that success.
When you wake up in the morning, do you love what you do?
Depends on who's calling me. But yeah.
No,
I've stopped calling you at 5:30.
You have stopped, which hurts my feelings. I like.
God. 1 minute is
If I'm getting 5:30 phone calls, baby, that means we're doing some work. Let's go get it.
Okay, you like those
Oh,
calls.
man.
So the
I
answer
had to
is,
say, Keith, you're waking my son up. Call us after 8, please.
I've learned. I can learn. Smith can learn.
Yeah.
Right? Smith learned. But that tells me you love what you do. You
I
wake
love-
up in the morning,
we
you
all
love what
do.
you do.
I love what I
obvious.
do, but you said something that was very important. So did Scott. When we did the construction side of things, it was instant gratification. This business is not like that.
Very well
this
put.
90 days is when you're really going to start to see a return on your investment in this industry.
So there's nothing like a feeling when it closes, when you hand a set of keys to a client,
Yeah.
and they walk into their house. That very well said, Kerry. This is a multi-month satisfaction
Yeah,
out
absolutely.
on that. Very well said, sir.
Our friend David from Skooma Boutique.
What's up, David?
Dispensary is giving Carrie some props. He says, a lot of great insight from Carrie and some great minds at this table today.
Nice.
Marquise is watching the program
what's up,
and
Q?
giving you some props from Hampton.
Nice.
Kevin Yancey giving you guys some props. Let's highlight some other folks on Carrie's page that are giving us some props. Is it Corey Demchek?
Yeah, hey, Corey.
Dustin Yancey, Paul
Dustin.
Jenkins, all
Yeah.
saying hello. Nick Hill on the Culpeper Community Spotlight group. And if you're not part of the Culpeper Community Spotlight group, join the group, guys. Scott and his team are doing a hell of a job with that group, and it's very insightful for that community. So we have some comments coming in. This is one that Scott gets quite a bit. Michael Anderson, hello, and welcome to the program. Why don't we get to Kevin Higgins' comment? I know you guys don't do a lot of commercial, but we respect the King of Greenwood quite a bit. He says, what's going on with commercial real estate in Charlottesville? Did COVID change that market with work from home? And then he also says, are there any areas that could be a short pump for CVille where residential and business blend as a way of living?
Let's hear it, Jerry Miller. What do you think?
Commercial?
Yeah.
Yes, my commercial is strong. We have a roster of 24 tenants, 23 are commercial, and we have a waiting list. We are in the executive office space game, so when commercial is pinched due to the economy, oftentimes demand comes down the pyramid, and when you're offering one-year leases and more manageable price points, that part of the pyramid gets momentum and tailwinds. So I would say the soft aspect of commercial is probably that 5-10 year Class A, super expensive, where people are just uncertain about a 5 or 10 year commitment, where they don't know if their team is going to be working from home. Who knows what the hell this metaverse is going to do? But mine is going to be, mine is very strong. Gentlemen, for you guys, short pump, it's kind of that work, live, play.
You're going to see that happen.
Stonefield is trying to do that.
Yeah.
Any possibility of doing that around Central Virginia?
Yeah.
Well, it would need to be near 64, wherever it's going to be. So Pantops and Zion's Crossroads, I think, are your two most likely,
There's a substantial
way to mirror the short pump model.
There's a substantial piece of property just came on the market, closed. So I do a fair amount of commercial in Zion's Crossroads that is perfectly designed, assuming we can get through all the rezoning for the short pump concept out there.
Yeah.
It's literally right at the intersection.
I think it'd be great. I would love to see more of that, honestly.
But Jerry's spot on. Class A is soft.
Yeah.
Right. So we're to answer that question in great depth. I do enough commercial to be dangerous in it. I do about 8 or 9 million a year on it. But we're going to bring some experts in here for that on a Monday show.
Kevin Yancey says Waynesboro, Fishersville, and Stanton are screaming for this.
Oh yeah.
Type of live, work, play scenario. Stonefield literally is trying to create that now. Jamie Turner is saying Scott is always repping the pep, baby. Every Wednesday.
Thank you,
He
Jamie.
loves to see Scott Morris repping the pep. Jamie Turner, the mayor of Gordonsville, now in a spectacular home in Culpeper with his beautiful better half.
Jamie, April 14th, come on down to Raven's Nest. We're going to be doing a little happy hour and B&I for all the businesses that we're getting involved with Community Spotlight. You're welcome to come by, have a drink with us.
Awesome. You're doing that?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
I think that's going to kill it for you. Dude, if you guys haven't realized, Scott is just a champion and ambassador of his home. And I respect that. Because you are giving so much of your time and effort to champion businesses in the community. I know what that's like firsthand.
Yeah, today we're doing a great interview with an awesome little, like a boutique pottery plant nursery business called Botanical Dwellings. They're right there on Main Street in Culpeper. Awesome owner, female small business owner, just great community advocate as well. She's actually partnering with Kat from Wild Lines, who we've recently done an interview for. She does a lot of children's art, but they're doing a joint feature where I think it's paint a pot. So you get a pot from Botanical Dwellings, and you do the paint thing with Kat from Wild Lines. So just awesome event. So it's something and it gets people out, something to do as well. And if you're in that downtown area, swing by Grill 309 right across the street, grab a beer, experience the Culpeper downtown area. It's a really unique community.
Colleague in the business, Emily Coulter, giving you some props right now.
Hey. Thank you, Emily.
Denise Ramey, hello.
Hey,
enjoy
Denise.
working with you, Denise. Welcome to the program. Kayla Cole Scott, hello. Welcome to the program. So, gentlemen, Q2, we're in it. I mean, the first quarter's flown by.
Yeah.
April, we're a week in already.
Hard to believe, huh?
I mean, dude, it's humming. Where are we going to go, gentlemen? Open-ended question, anywhere you want to go. Keith, jump in here.
Yeah, so I'm going to change the gears a little bit and kind of do a little bit of tease for later on in the month. But I've been doing some conversations with the local jurisdictions about where they're going to be ending up with their tax rate and their budgets, and I've been involved in that a little bit. So I had a great conversation. We're going to have Tony O'Brien and Chris Fairchild come in on the 22nd. But they're looking at a revenue neutral budget. The same with Nelson. Flavanna. Same with Nelson and the same with Louisa.
Not Charlottesville.
Not Charlottesville and not Albemarle County. And the reason I bring that up is back to what we were talking about mortgage rates. So some of these counties that are going to stay revenue neutral. So in other words, if I'm paying $2,000 in this year's tax or last year's tax, I'm going to pay the same going forward. That's going to kind of help a little bit on the monthly payment end of it. on the end of it. So these other jurisdictions are going to get even more looks at it because they're going to be a little bit more stable as interest rates go up a little bit to keep that monthly payment a little bit stabilized. But I was a little surprised about Fulvana County. I think they're actually not even doing a tax increase, a cent increase on that end.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We should highlight this, and we try to highlight this. Kerry and Scott, jump in. The assessments are skyrocketed, and now we got city talking. Thank God they're off the 10-cent ledge for the real estate tax rate increase. Now that they're at the couple cent ledge, because they realized that there was a windfall of revenue when the assessments went up. I don't know why they didn't realize this in the beginning of budget season, but they're realizing now that there's a windfall of revenue when the assessments went up. They're raising the meals tax 0.5%. So why don't we talk about the impact of the even a couple cent tax rate increase can have on a municipality, a jurisdiction, and what you guys do for a living?
So from a buyer standpoint, and we've talked about this before, it's really a question of, so when they're looking county to county, where do you find your affordability, and how does that tax assessment affect your ability to qualify? So if you're in a county where it's 68 cents on the dollar versus 103, what does that number look like? And that's in cash, and that's that's a pretty significant swing. We're talking on a 200,000. Well, let's just say where you're $100,000 property, you're $680 or $1,300 on 200,000 or $1,800 on 3, whereas if you're in a dollar plus, you're $3,000 more. So that's a couple $100 or $100 plus per month in payment and difference just between counties in tax alone.
So it's important to get out there that assessed value, tax assessed value, and market value doesn't necessarily match, right? Market's always a little bit higher. It depends on the jurisdiction, but by and far, market's usually higher than tax assessed value. But the point is, I'm just looking at a recent closing at Lake Monticello, and why this is important. Their taxes for 2021 is $22.12, and if they stay revenue neutral in 2022, it'll be $22.12. Right, they're not going to add another $500 or another $400, which is important because that raises your mortgage payment up right at that end of it. So I think it's important just to keep an eye on that.
Right,
stuff.
and that's a question that I get frequently. It's like, hey, I saw my payment went up. And it's like, dude, no, your mortgage, your rate didn't change. It's either take a look and see what happened with your taxes or your insurance and see where the adjustment's coming from. Did you make a claim? Did a tree fall in the house? Like, is your insurance? Or is it just the county has made an adjustment and now they're trying to refill your escrow account to get the difference in there?
Kerry, thoughts?
Well, I do think it makes it a little more desirable to span out in the counties a little bit more. That's why I always ask when I have buyers coming into the market, where's your desired area? And so if they tell me 30 minutes of Charlottesville, I say, great, you have a lot of options then, right? You can go northeast, south, or west, and depending on where you're going to be, that's going to dictate your monthly payment depending on taxes. And it really just all depends on what's important to the client. Is the taxes not as important as being able to walk to downtown mall? Right, so it really just depends on what they're doing. Obviously, we want to get it as cheaply as possible, but the reality of it is you just have to decide what's important for you.
So how is gas prices affecting your buyers' clients and your conversations you're having with them?
We talk about that as well. It's if you're going to live 30 minutes outside of Charlottesville, you have to take into consideration it's going to take you 30 minutes. That's an hour drive out of your daily. What can you be doing with that hour? And then the second one is going to be, you're going to have to budget a little more for gas as the gas price is going up. I think, there's ups and downs to that. If you're looking at a 5-year period, you can kind of expect that it's going to plateau at some point.
We hope.
The timeline's long enough. Everything's
everything kind of.
Why are you guys looking at me when you said that?
No, because I say it all the time. We're talking about everything's transitory if the timeline's long enough.
I knew he was going that way. Scott Morris, I'm getting to know you quite well here from the weekly time we spend together. Gentlemen, this is great. You guys are great, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so relaxed, Kerry, for your second time.
Yeah, that's the first time I was a little nervous. I was like, all right. Second time it's get easier. It's great when you have a good panel too. I mean, like you said in the beginning of the show, it's kind of like you're just hanging out with friends.
Yeah, there you go.
Just hanging out, having a cup of coffee, talking what we were passionate about. So Kerry the closer. That's it. That's what we're calling
Kerry, I'll
it.
take that one.
Kerry the closer.
Let's hope I live up to that one.
Dude, he said, and I liked his swagger on Monday. I think he closed by saying this. I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to take over this market.
Yeah,
I mean, he said that.
I'm coming for everything, and
Good for you.
I'm a ambitious and optimistic person, and that's ultimately what I want. I want to, when names are being mentioned of the best real estate agents in the area, I want my name to be in there.
Well, you're working.
Respect.
You're working your way up there, brother.
Trying.
But just a little humbleness is always a good thing.
Amen. That's why I put on the tool belt.
There you go. and I appreciated that when I saw that. So you're writing your business plan, right? We had an offline conversation about that. Are you projecting less sales, more sales this year, more volume,
more sales
less
for
volume?
this year.
How many have you done through Q1?
I think I'm right at 10.
10, so 4 quarters, you're trending to 40.
Yeah, but
So far?
and
But
yeah,
higher purchase
But how
price.
many of them are new construction that are closing in next year?
8.
So
All right, yeah, so
that's an important distinction, right?
yeah, my numbers are a little bit skewed right now. I'm still projecting with what I have under contract and closed so far. I'm still projecting out to be about 60 to 65.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, so I'm really going to start grinding. I'm building a team, so I had to step back a little bit. I'm building a team. I had to put together a business plan for the future of my team,
Good for
and
you.
then also getting my broker's license. So I knew this month was going to be a little bit slow, or first quarter was going to be a little bit slow. But again, it's not gonna affect how hard I grind.
How risky was it for you to get to put on a payroll an assistant and a transaction coordinator? Because that's a big step.
It didn't. You know what? I look at it as a long-term investment. They're going to ultimately
you.
help me where I'm needing to go. And last year, like I said, I did 56 by myself. And I'm hoping that with having those 2 people in place, and they're great. They've been doing wonderful so far. And they've really freed up my time to focus in on some of the other things I need to do.
So every one of us
That you
was
like to do.
every one of us was in the construction industry and trade at one point in time. It just, you can't build a house with one person.
No, you can't.
Right? And in our field, we learned to delegate.
Yeah.
And we realized very quickly that we need other folks to help us get it done because, you may be a great carpenter, but not such a good drywall guy
Yeah,
person, right?
exactly. And
So
I only get asked to paint things once.
I'm still wondering about,
Drywall is a skill.
yeah, it is.
Dude, that's a legit skill. You try doing some drywall, and then you're like, oh, I can do this, and you're like, good God, I cannot do this.
You know what bothers me the most about like the drywall and the painting and stuff is everybody and their mother and brother can point out a bad job, but no one ever comments on the great jobs. It just kind of gets overlooked. And
so that's something that I always built my 3.5 decades of doing this, right? We joke around a little bit, and I do this even with Jerry and everybody. It is so hard to criticize. It takes a fraction of a second to say, you know what, great job, man.
Good work.
Great job, good work. And you know how far that goes?
it does, and people enjoy coming into work, and when
Yep.
they enjoy coming into work, they do a much better job.
I always
and a
thought it was the
happier
beer I
environment.
brought, but anyway.
Yeah, and the beer helps
What kind of
too.
beer were you bringing? Were they Bud Heavies?
Oh, it was whatever.
Were they
Whatever they
Heavies?
want.
It was whatever I stuck in the
Cooler?
In the cooler.
Yeah.
That you'd be surprised how many guys are more motivated. Be like, hey, can I get you to stay an extra hour? I got beers in the truck, by the way.
So
Like,
Scott
yeah.
will remember this. On Fridays, I used to run around with the pickup truck to the job sites and talk to the guys and the gals and the people on the job site. And one of my stupid saying was, what the great news about Friday is, guys, right? You only got 2 more days to work this week. And then they would throw 2 hammers at me.
Well, they were working Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, we had to do it. We had
Do
to
what
do
you
it.
got to do.
Since they used to do things twice, I had to make up some more.
That's
time.
right. That's right.
Some final thoughts, gentlemen. Scott Morris, show is yours.
Hey, super challenging market for buyers still, but again, the theme is just keep going. And same thing for kind of like we talked about. If you're newer in the business and you've got questions about whether what you're doing is working, if you're consistently doing it, and I talked to a young man on my team about this, like, dude, you were bringing in a quality number of leads, but I understand that it's not the quality that is getting you what you want out of this. But if you keep doing this, you're going to find success. Same thing for buyers. Just because you found the house and it did not work out, that meant it wasn't the house. Keep going after it. Keep getting it. Talk to your trusted advisors, work with your local partners. If you've got problems that come up in a transaction, these are the people who are going to support you and support each other. That's who you want to be working with and working around.
Was it strange for you just to say a young man on my team right there?
It's like, somebody said the other day, they were like, oh, your son's hair is so blonde. I remember when yours was. And I was like, what do you mean my hair is not blonde anymore, bro?
Yo.
Hey, Scott, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can feel it coming.
So the add-on to what Scott said, and you guys were talking about this on Monday, almost 100% at some point when our buyers lose first, second, and third house, almost 100% when they get to that final house they get, they actually love that house more than the first two houses. So stay in the game. It does work out that way. It really, really does work out that way. And man, we proved the numbers. Don't hold us off. Buy it now. It's that you're going to make a mistake if you wait a little bit longer.
Yep.
Carrie Griggs.
I agree with that statement. Well, try to get in there. Don't give up hope. Just keep on grinding it out. Partner with some great people around you. Surround yourself with positive people, good lenders, good real estate agent, good title companies, and just keep on being positive. We got to help each other out. It's right around the corner for you. I tell people that all the time. It's right around the corner. Don't give up. Just keep on going.
Kerry Griggs, Keith Smith, Scott Morris, distinguished gentlemen, Scott Mortgage Morris.
Carrie the closer.
The closer.
We've got. I see more roundtables of this happening.
Yeah.
Dude's got skills.
Can I make a shout out? I had a buddy of mine bust my chops yesterday on the rugby field. He said, you never called me out, even though I mentioned you on Facebook. So I just want to give a shout out to Ross Condry and Connor Spears. Yep.
Fantastic. No shout out for the better half?
Oh, absolutely. To my wife, Amanda Griggs, and my two kids, Jackson and Mason.
Like,
I love
really?
you. Yeah. Hey, I got you. No, I love her. She's a great person.
Carrie. Judah Whitcow, our director. Guys, Real Talk on a Wednesday presented by Ross Mortgage. Scott, a trusted advisor, guys. The I Love CVille show is up in 1 hour. And we will tell the story of Greenberry's Coffee and how you can be an investor in this business as they are selling and offering stock options for the community. So that story coming up in 1 hour on the I Love CVille Network. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Hold on.
Thank you, guys.